are y'all doing? How are y'all feeling? I hope you guys are staying warm on this rainy, ugly, cold day. I'm Raina Swan, and if you are new here, welcome. Grab a seat, grab some popcorn or something. I don't know, whatever you like snacking on, big back. So today is the last day of January, and you know, I'm drained. Okay, I had a birthday this month, and that seemed like that's the only good thing that happened this month. I don't know about y'all, but this has been a rocky road into 2025, and I'm not looking forward to February. I don't know. I feel like we just been on a downward spiral since 2020. Everything is just up in flames. Okay, so today we are going to be doing a little recap of what I did this month. Okay, I read 12 books, and none of them were 5 stars. But did I enjoy the ride? Yeah. Would I come back to the amusement park and try the rides again? No, but I had fun. Okay, so first on the list, okay, I have Needy Little Things. Now, this was a buddy read with Kim's Kindle Reads over there on Instagram, and we got the ARC from NetGalley. I also got the audio ARC from Macmillan. I did not do the audio. I read the ebook, and it was a good time. Okay, this book is really new. It drops in February, so I didn't really see any 1-star reviews. Typically ARC readers like to be a little bit generous. They don't really want to, be the one to shoot the gun. So we are going to read Sid's review. Sid gave this 3 stars, and Sid said, "I want to start by saying, all in all, I had a good time, and I liked the female main character because she had depth, even if she was occasionally a little too trusting. I have a little issue with the repercussions for what happened and the reasoning behind everything that happened. I'm just mad at some of the side characters because their intentions were in the right place, but the delivery was awful. The female main character carried the book. If there was another book following another path her gifts leads her down, then I would read it." And I absolutely agree with Sid. I think I gave the book 4 stars. I was a little bit more generous than Sid, only because the book felt like it was created for us, the culture, Black people, with the terminology, the banter, the side jokes. All of it felt familiar, and it felt like, it felt authentic. And so I really enjoyed that about Needy Little Things. Now, what Sid or Sin, whatever that girl name is, what she is saying about the side characters being annoying is absolutely correct. The people on the side, you feel like you really like them until you get down to the nitty gritty, and you like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? And then the twist is just like very amateur. So that was my only gripe with Needy Little Things. Other than that, I think it makes for a very, very good debut novel from Chanel Desamores. I believe this is her first book. So good job, girl. Keep going, boo-boo. So next on the list is Thick of Love. Now, I ain't gonna even hold y'all. I don't remember anything about this book. I don't know a thing. Now, I did look over the synopsis, and I was looking like, okay, so this is kind of like another version of Waiting to Exhale. You have the friend group who is going through a lot of different things, and it was a messy time. I do remember that it was a messy time, but did I feel any type of connection with any of the characters? No. The smut spicy scenes felt very unnecessary. And it was just like, oh, okay, I read it. It was on my shelf and I read it, and now I can say I read it. But let's see what the vibe Barian. Why would she have it? Okay, girl. The vibe like librarian, right? I'm assuming that's what you mean, girl. So the vibe said, this book was just okay. There was a lot of toxicity amongst the entire cast. The disrespect, stupidity, the enabling went on for a good while. The sex scenes weren't nearly spicy enough. Girl, they weren't needed. She also says some words and sayings were repetitive, random details and encounters were sprinkled within the book. The story had potential, it just wasn't executed the best. And I would have to agree. Now, what direction Danielle Marcus could have went in, I don't know. So there's that. Next on the list, we have Above It All by Lakeisha Burkett. Now, what really grinded my gears with this book was the ending. I feel like it was rushed and it fell flat. Granted, it was a novella, but I feel like she could have put a little bit more effort into fleshing it out a little bit more. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I did not write any thoughts about it. So let's see what Read and Lift with Shar says. So she says, I saw the potential in Above It All, and I actually thought the storyline was entertaining. The pacing was off, the story was moving too fast, and the details were not fleshed out. I did get some 90s vibes, but it didn't give me the nostalgic feeling I was hoping for. Overall, I am glad I saw this one through because nobody could be trusted and the secrets were glaring. Woo! This was NTMA. I would read more. This was not too much, actually. I think that's what NTMA stands for. Y'all, I'm getting older, so all these little hip terms you girls like to use, I don't know what that shit means, okay? Yeah, and we're gonna move on. I agree with those thoughts, those sentiments. I feel like, I know we want to keep the novella short, but girl, you could have added a little more detail and, could have just wrapped it all up really, really nicely. It just was just like, oh, it's over. And that's it. Yeah. So next on the list, we have Take It Back by Kia Abdullah. And I gave this book... I gave this book 4 stars. Now this was like a legal crime fiction legal thriller, and it was cool. The twist at the end had me a little hot, a little heated. I mean, like at the very, very end, I was a little annoyed. All the back and forth we were getting between the female main character, the victim, and our female main character, the adult, was a tad bit draining for me. If you want to see my full thoughts, you can head over to Instagram. I really don't feel like walking down memory lane. I just know that it was a wild time, and I will say I would not recommend the audio. I know a lot of people say they enjoyed the audio, but the narrator's voice for the victim was annoying to me. So, and maybe that's because I had it on, I didn't have it on 1 speed. I had it amped up a little bit higher than usually people like to have it up. So I don't know. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was my fault. But yeah. So let's see what Reagan said. Reagan said, I don't know how this ended up in my iBooks, but I'm irritated that it got there and that I read it. This was not my kind of book. This is very frustrating to read, and I was confused as to who I was supposed to believe this entire time. Also, there was no resolution to any of the plot points, and I'm just annoyed. The writing itself was fine, sure, but I did not enjoy this book and wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. And that's okay, Morgan. You know, that is okay, boo-boo. You don't have to, okay? So we're just gonna move on to Pretty Hurts by Alicia J. This book was recommended to me by D Reads 92, and y'all, when I say he got on my nerves every single day about reading this book, he was so excited about this book that he loves this book so much, and he was like, did you finish it yet? Did you read it yet? When you gonna read it? I'm like, oh my God, I don't even want to read the shit at this point because you are hounding me, sir. Back up. Shit. You are ruining the experience. But, you know, I did give it 4 stars. You know, I enjoyed the story of love and betrayal and heartbreak. The main character, she suffers from facial disfigurement. And, you know, of course, with that comes the lack of self-confidence. And she has some family in there that doesn't really help with that lack of confidence. And it was really like a heartbreaking story. Our main male character, he pissed me the hell off. Yeah, it was a good time. Let me see how I felt about the ending. Give me a moment, y'all, because I read a lot of books. Yeah, so at the end, I just found everyone's willingness to forgive so effortlessly unrealistic. It just was just like, oh, okay, like, you know, this was sad, but, you know, let's just kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Yeah, it was sad. It was sad, and I was just like, why is everybody so forgiving? Why ain't nobody throwing them things? Why aren't we fighting? Who's getting jumped? Who's getting jumped first is the better question. But it was none of that. And I'm like, somebody need their ass whooped. So Tanisha Leonard, she said, really? Nothing about this book was special. I'm not sure what type of books the people who rated this as 5 stars are used to reading, but this definitely was not as riveting as the claim. I think she meant as they claim, but she wrote the claim. It was a basic book with a basic plot with basic characters. Okay, Tanisha girl, everything ain't for everybody. Moving on. Next on my list, y'all, I'm trying to get through these books. And mind you, I'm going to be reading 12 books every month just so I can try to reach my goal of 150 books. We gonna see, child, because I'm tired. Okay, so next we have Wings of Ebony. You guys, if you're following me on Instagram, you probably saw the review for this. If you did not, head over there and read it. Yeah, I just felt like Wings of Ebony had a very, very strong start, but I wanted a bit more magic. I wanted a bit more side plots, a little bit more going on in Rue's hometown, and a little bit more going on in Ghazan, her father's hometown, where he's from, with all the magic and things. Yeah, the last it dragged on a lot. I will say it was a slow burn. Like the middle part, I was just like, okay, let's wrap this up. Let's get into why we're here. So yeah, the last 10 chapters saved it. It was packed with a lot of action, a lot of moving parts. Some love interests were thrown in there, and it was good. I could see teens who are into fantasy or getting into fantasy really enjoying this book, because it was very black. It was very easy to follow. So it made for a good time. And I gave it 3 stars. Now, Charmaine, she gave it 1 star. And Charmaine said, I will start by saying, just because I dislike the book doesn't mean you will too. Clock it. You might like this book, but for me, it's a no. Maybe I'm not within the age range this book would cater to, but there isn't much about this book that I like. The way it was written felt choppy, and the dialogue, yes, I get it. The main character is Black. Great. I get what the author was trying to do in showing us the setting for this book and the message they wanted to push, but it was thick, very thick. If I read the words fam, the block, or ride or die one more time, I was close to DNF in this book. I really wanted to give it a shot, but nothing saved it for me. Yeah, girl. I can. Points were made. Points were made. I feel you, girl. I feel you. We're gonna move on. And if you're wondering why I'm not giving you guys synopsis for this book, for these books, it's because it's a lot going on, okay? I'm reading reviews. My mother is calling me probably because she's in some sort of crisis. It is just only so much I can do at this point, okay? And for those of you who are thinking, you know, if your mother is calling about a crisis, maybe you should answer it. My mother goes through a crisis every 2 weeks, okay? At some point, you gotta let niggas fall on their ass and get themselves back up. Because especially when you give them, you know what? This is not about that, okay? The point that I'm making is sometimes you gotta let people fall and pick themselves back up, especially when you giving them too many options in the past for them to get their shit together and they don't take it. So now you just gotta be like, look, I'll get to it when I get to it. Okay? Moving on. The Color Purple with Alice Walker. Okay, by Alice Walker. I enjoyed it. There was some moments in the book that were not in the movie, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The letters from Celie's sister was a bit long-winded for me at the end. I was just like, okay, if we get one more letter about what I got going on in Africa, I'm gonna throw the book. But it was okay for a classic that I've never read before. I gave it 4 stars and I enjoyed it. But Alan, this Caucasian man, he did not enjoy it. He gave it 1 star. He said, never could make it through this. So much worse than, say, Hurston's Their Eyes. What are you trying to say, Alan? So much worse than, say, Hurston's Their Eyes. Virtually no humor in contrast to Hurston, with humor about the most serious stuff. Racism in the courts, for instance. What are you talking about, Alan? Fact that they made a pop movie out of it proves it. They're still working on the film Their Eyes. I think it's grand and subtle, not so easy for filmmakers. Alan, what the fuck are you talking about? Virtually no humor in contrast to Hurston's. What are you talking about? Celie was getting her ass whooped every day. Where was Alice Walker supposed to add the humor in that? She was getting molested. What are we talking about, Alan? Don't piss me off. Let me move on, because Alan done upset my soul. Okay, next up is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. Y'all didn't drag me on Instagram like I thought y'all was for giving this book 3 stars. A lot of you guys absolutely love this book, and I can understand why. It just had too many moving pieces, and I felt like it just didn't stick. Like, I know I say sometimes I need a few more subplots, but this had all the side plots. It had all the side plots, all the moving pieces, and it just felt cluttered. And I just wanted a cleaner storyline. And I also didn't really particularly care for the main character and his love interest. I feel like that little side plot was not needed. Yeah, those are just my thoughts. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars, but let's go over to Goodreads and see what Jenny said. Jenny, she said, I am so disappointed in this book. It was nothing like the other 2 books I have read by this author. His other books were so suspenseful and full of action and just hard to put down. This book was hard to finish. I had to force myself to finish it. I wasn't connected with the characters. I couldn't even remember whom was whom. I don't recommend it. I can agree with some parts. Like, you know, I didn't really feel connected to the characters either. I did feel bad for the victims who lost their lives. But I was just like, okay, like, this was cool. You know, I wasn't just like, oh my God, I love the main, you know, like I didn't feel connected to the characters either, Jenny. So we have that in common. So let's just move on before you piss me off. Yeah. Next up, we have Bemused by Farrah Rashan. This is a retelling. No, this is a prequel to the Hercules story from Disney. And I thought it was cute. I would say do the audio because the names for these characters are very hard to pronounce, and I could see how somebody can get confused, okay? I gave it 3 stars, and I feel like if you are into Greek mythology and Disney, I think you would enjoy taking a little dive into, you know, the backstory of the Muses. I felt like their plot and their reason, the daughter's reason for the plot was well thought out. But Skylar didn't feel this way. Skylar had a lot to say that I'm not going to read. You can pause it and read it yourself if you care about Skylar's thoughts. I'm just going to read just a little bit because, yeah, Skylar wanted to write a whole book herself. But yeah, so she said, this was not my cup of tea. Maybe it's because a YA novel. Maybe it's because it's a YA novel. But I don't think that's the only reason I'm giving this story 1 star. She said, also my biggest issue was that the resolution of the book was 2 pages long. None of this book was coherent. The epilogue should have tied into the beginning of Hercules, gave us a brief description over what stories were told from the end of the book to the beginning of the movie for a proper tie-in. Hercules and the Muses would be disappointed at this retelling. Skylar, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Hercules and the Muses aren't real, boo-boo. So I don't know what type of disappointment they're gonna feel, but they're fictional. And I need you to go outside and just stand in the rain like this. Get a little reality in your system. Yeah, so we're gonna move on before you piss me off. Yeah, just go outside and rub your face against a tree. Touch some grass. What? Hercules would be disappointed. Are we okay? Okay, so we also read The Unhoneymooners this month. I did a full video Wednesday for that. If you want to watch it and see what that's about, I won't share my thoughts on here because it's going to be repetitive. So just check out the video if you have not watched it and you're interested in finding out more about this book. But we are going to read Jay's review. Jay gave it 1 star, and Jay said, when I die, I want Christina Lauren to lower me into my grave so that she can let me down one last time. It was not that bad, Jay. It was not that. You know what? Let's just move on to the last 2 books that I've read, okay? Second to last is Revenge at Sea by Brian O'Sullivan, and this is part of the series. You can read them out of order, doesn't matter, but I think it is I think it's a good idea to read the first one because you get a kind of backstory as for our main character. What's his name? Quint. Quint irked my nerves. He worked him down to the bone. And if you want to see my thoughts or read my thoughts about that, you can go over to Instagram, because this video is getting a little long-winded. So we're going to get into Farron's review. Farron said, before I tell you what Farron said, I gave the book 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it. So yeah, there's that. But Farron, not so much. Farron gave it 2 stars. Farron said, the author has got the writing chops, but the plot had more holes than Swiss cheese. Also, the behavior of law enforcement and other law enforcement agencies was completely unrealistic. Also, too many coincidences and long-winded explanations by the villain, all smacked of a very amateurish effort. Yeah, I do agree with the too many convenient coincidences. I do agree with that. It's just like, oh, like, you've gotten out of this debacle. You've gotten out of this kerfuffle. Oh, Quentin, you done got yourself caught in this mess. Oh, look, he got out of it again. Like, I agree. It was just kind of like, okay. But I enjoyed it. It was action-packed. It was a wild time, okay? But it had hella characters, and y'all know how I feel about that. But I did not complain. I did that as a buddy read with Kim and D. Yeah. So last on the list, we have Seeking Asha. This one really got on my nerves. Asha is a character from the Heartbreak You series. You guys know the Heartbreak You series is one of my favorite series. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was very urban fiction, contemporary romances on an HBCU campus. I loved it. It was a vibe. So Johnny Sherry is writing standalone books for each characters, and I didn't go in order. One of the characters in the book, so there's 4 characters. There's Hope, Frankie, Asha, and Paris. So Hope has her own standalone, which is the first in the series for their standalones. For some reason, I skipped Hope's story and went to the most annoying character in the series, Asha, and her book is book 2. Johnny has not written the other 2 books for Frankie and Paris. But I read this and I want to say I gave this 4 stars just because I do enjoy Johnny's writing, but the characters and their love triangle and the second chance romance and, you know, the back and forth was very draining. I did enjoy the side characters that really carried the story. I enjoyed our main male character's son. He was so cute. And this is evidence of how much I really enjoyed Johnny's writing skills, because I was able to envision the little boy in the book as a little cute little boy. But yeah, Asha, the main character, she's gonna work your nerves to the very end, and I want you guys to read the series first before you read the standalones, because it's gonna make more sense. If you just read the standalones, you might not enjoy it, but having the backstory and seeing their growth and the transformation really makes for a good time. Okay. With that being said, let me read Classic Rose's review. So she said, Asha tap dance on my last nerve. These 2 got on my last nerve, you hear me? If it wasn't for Harvey, I would have no hope in this book. She's a runner, she's a track star on repeat was the theme of this book. Undoubtedly a good story. I'm happy they were able to get it together and mature at the very end. I agree, girl. I couldn't have said it any better, boo-boo. So anywho, that is it for this video. Very long-winded. I hope you made it to the end. If you did, give yourself a pat on the back. All right, and I will see you guys Monday. We're going to be going over my February reads for the month. Spoiler alert, I did start reading The Secret World of Maggie Gray by Granger. So I only read the first chapter, but I really like it. I started it last night right before I was like dozing off. So I'm enjoying this one. Everybody loves this. So I figured let's do a little fantasy February. Okay. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I love you guys so much. Let me go see what my mama wants, because I know she about to piss me off. Pray for me, please.